Hello my fashion lovers, welcome to today's tutorial. On today's tutorial, we'll be looking at how to sew this princess that bustier. It's a yoke. This one will have a yoke, a separate yoke. Princess that bustier. Please, if you have any question, ask in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell to be notified anytime I post a new video. Please try to comment on my videos. And to my returning subscribers that watch all my videos, I love you. Thank you for keeping me on this channel. Thank you for your support. Let's begin our tutorial. I'll be working with this fabric. This is the lining, so I'll be drafting on this lining. After, I'm going to use it to cut the main fabric. You're going to fold with the biggest part of your blouse. The biggest part, well, maybe the hip or the bust is the biggest part. You're going to fold with it and add your sewing allowance. Add your sewing allowance. You can add up to 3, 4 or 5 sewing allowance depending on the sewing allowance you're working with. And the blouse length I'm working with is 26, but I will be using 28 because it will have a turn up at the underpart, so I'll be using 28 for the length. So this is going to be my starting point. This is my starting point. And from there, you get your bust point. From there, that is the down point, the down part of the blouse. I'm checking the measurements I'm using and the sewing allowance I added. Now, from the beginning point, you are going to mark your bust points. The bust point is usually where your nipple is. That is the bust point. And you mark your underbust, and you mark your waistline and your blouse length. Now I'm going to rule it out. Cross-check your measurements to make sure that your measurements are correct. That is the hip line, the waist, the underbust, and the bust points. Now I'm going to measure the shoulder. For the shoulder, you're going to divide your shoulder by 2. If your shoulder is 16, you divide it by 2. My shoulder is 19.5. You divide it by 2. Take your 1-inch shoulder slope and then take your armhole. To get your armhole, you can do your shoulder divided by 2 plus 1 to get the length of your armhole. So this is my armhole. Your armhole is also the same with your chest line. And for the neck, I'm taking a boat neck, 5 inches by 3. The length will be 5 and the wideness is 5 and the depth is 3 inches. If you like, you can go further than that depending on what you're working with. Now you take your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus 1/2 inch. If your nipple to nipple measurement is 9, you divide it by 2, then add your ½ inch sewing allowance. Then you connect it down to the hip line. Now you're going to take out your dart. On the waistline, I'm taking out 1 inch on both sides, and on the hip line you come up by 2 inches. Come up by 2 inches. You come up by 2 inches and connect. On the bust point, you go up by 1 inch and come down by 1 inch to avoid pointy edges in your blouse. Then on the underbust, I'm taking 1 inch, and on the other side, I'm taking 1 inch. But if you're working with a bigger bust, you can take 1.5 on both sides, depending on the bust size you're working with. Bigger size from 46 upwards, you can take 1.5 inch. But if you're working with a smaller bust of 33, 34, 35, you can take 1 inch on both sides. Now I'm going to get my bust measurement divided by 4. Bust measurement divided by 4 to get my princess darts. Now I'm going to measure my armhole. Measure your armhole, then get the middle part. Get the middle part, come in by ½ inch. Come in by ½ inch and connect. Connect to your bust point. Then on both sides, you're going to come up by 1 inch and come out by 1 inch and connect straight back to the bust points. Use your curved ruler to connect. Connect to the bust point. Now you're going to go in by 2 inches. You deducted 2 inches, so you're going to go in again by 2 inches that you deducted, so that your blouse will not, the armhole of your blouse will not reduce. Whatever you removed for the both sides, you're going to connect it back, and that will form your new armhole. That will form your new armhole. Connect from your underbust to the waist. Connect it. And now you're going to take your full body measurements. Bust divided by 4. Bust divided by 4. You mark it, plus your sewing allowance. Plus your sewing allowance. And on the underbust, your underbust divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance. Then the 2 darts you're going to cut out, make sure you add it to your sewing allowance. The same with the waist. Add up the 2 darts you're going to cut out, so that when you cut out you not have shortage, and then your sewing allowance. On the hip line, you're going to do the same. Mark your hip measurement plus your sewing allowance. Make sure you are adding sewing allowance so that you don't run short of your sewing of space. Then we're going to connect to your armhole and connect your lines. Please, at this point, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, support me on this journey, and like my video, and also share my video. For the yoke, you can come down by 6, 7, 8, depending on what you want to achieve for the yoke. But I came down by 8 inches. Now I'm going to connect it. That is for the yoke. Princess, that's bustier with yoke. So that is the yoke. And now we are going to cut. You have to be careful when you're cutting. I forgot to put my shoulder slope to connect my shoulder slope. Make sure you connect your shoulder slope. And with this, I will place it. Before I finish cutting it out, I want to use them and cut out the back. The only difference, the back is not going to have the yoke. The only difference between the front and the back is going to be the zipper allowance. And for the back, I'm not putting any princess darts. There's no princess dart. That is, the back is going to have the normal dart, and the back there will be no yoke. So I'm just using it to cut the exact measurement I have for the front, for the back. Before I cut out everything. On the hemline of the hip line, you can come up by 2 inches and give it a curve. But this is for a wrapper. She wants to use it to tie her wrapper, so there is no need. But if you like, you can come up by 2 inches from the hip line and curve. That is the zipper allowance. Mark out the zipper allowance for the back. Now we are going to cut out the front part, cut the remaining darts out. Watch and see how I'm cutting my darts out. That is for the sides, for the two sides of the princess darts, and this is the middle part of it. Remember to connect your shoulder slope to the neckline. I forgot to do that, so that's why I'm doing it now, so that you know what you're cutting out. And now this is the yoke. You can give it any neckline of your choice. You can decide to make it straight, or you can decide to give it a sweetheart neckline. But what I give my own is sweetheart neckline. And this is what we will have. And also notch your waistline, the underbust, notch your underbust and your bust point, so that when you're joining you won't make any mistake. The underbust and the bust point, make sure you notch it. It will help you a lot when you want to join, to avoid mistakes. And when you open it up, this is what you have. With this, I'll use it to cut my main fabric. This is the lining of the fabric. This is the lining of the fabric. I'll use it to cut the main fabric. That is the middle, and these are the two sides. These are the two sides. The two sides, and this is the yoke. This is the yoke. And now with this, I'm going to use it to cut the main fabric. If you're drafting, make sure you draft on the lining first to avoid issues on your main fabric. And this is the yoke. And now to draft the back pattern. The only thing we're putting into consideration is the chest line, the waist, and the hip. That is the armhole length. The front and the back will always be the same for the armhole. And now for the neckline we took 5 inches. 5 inches. For the depth, you can decide to take 3 inches, 4 inches, depending on what you're working with. But I'm taking 3 inches for the depth. Now you connect. Connect your shoulder slope. Now for the dart, you'll be taking your nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2 plus ½ inch sewing allowance. Connect it all the way to your chest line. That is where your dart for the back will be stopping. You're going to go up by ½ inch on the hip line. You are going to get your waistline, the chest line, the waistline, and the hip line. And on the waistline, you are taking ½ inch on both sides. So you're going to connect from the chest line to the waistline. And then connect down to the hip line. So this is the darts we are using for the back pattern. If you like, you can go ahead and add your princess dart for the back. Then we are taking the full body measurement divided by 4 plus the sewing allowance you're working with. Get the midpoint of your armhole and connect to the bust points. You can go ahead and take your measurements, take the waistline measurements and the hip line measurements, but I'd already used the front one to cut out my measurements, so I don't need to take the remaining measurements. And you're going to open up your zipper allowance. Just slit it open from the zipper allowance, open it up. And now this is the back pattern, the lining for the back. Now we're going to pad it. Show you how to pad it. Just take your pad, depending on this called wadding, fold it and draft out what you have on your sides. Draft out what you have on both sides. You are going to take the same shape. You're going to cut out the same shape. Make sure you arrange it to get the shape you're looking for. And on the bust points, I will take 5 inches. That is where my pad is going to stop, because you wouldn't want it to get to the armhole. Just stop That is where the bust is going to stop. The pad is going to stop, 5 inches. Now connect it down to the under bust. You still take it straight. That is where the pad is stopping. And on the under bust, you connect it down to the under bust. For the sides, you're going to cut out the exact curve you have on your main pattern. And now the point that you marked, you're going to connect it to get the shape you want. And you're cutting the 2 sides at once because it's on fold. And this is what you have. You're going to gum it down. You gum it down. The exact shape you have. You're going to gum it down. And it's going to stop at the under bust. Always notch so that when you're putting it together, you won't have issues putting it together. And now you're going to cut the middle parts. Fold your wadding. Fold your wadding and cut. The one is going to 1 inch down from the neckline. 1 inch down from the neckline. And also is going to end at the under bust. It will end at the under bust. Go ahead and cut what you have. Also notch the bust point and the under bust so that when you're joining, you know what you're joining. Then you go ahead. I decided to do the padding on the lining. Go ahead and join. This is the main fabric now. I've joined it. Go ahead and join it and press it. I decided to pad it on the lining, not on the main fabric. You can go ahead and pad it on the main line, on the main fabric, depending on what you want. This is my main fabric. And you go ahead and fix your yoke. And when you're cutting your yoke, cut the joining allowance on the neck parts. The place you're going to join, you're going to add your joining allowance. And then use your bias to turn up the neck. And when you finish, you're going to use your lining to cover it up. Cover it up and turn it to the back. And when you finish, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to look like. And this is our blouse. Go ahead and use bias for the neck parts. And when you are done, you're going to stitch it. When you are done, you're first of all going to stitch it at the down part. Go ahead and stitch it at the down part before you stitch the sides. Your fabric should be 2 inches longer than your lining so that you can be able to hem it very well. And this is the back. You do the same to the back. Put your normal dart for the back parts. And now you're going to connect on the shoulder. Use the shoulder of the back, turn it to the right side and stitch it. Make sure you put it the right side facing right side, the right side facing right side, right side facing right side. Hold your shoulder and stitch. Go ahead and stitch it. Go ahead and stitch the shoulder and use your measurements and shape the sides. The measurements you use at the beginning, use it and shape the sides. And when you're done, this is what you're going to have: your princess dart bustier with yoke. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, click on the notification bell to be notified anytime I post a new video. And if there's any illustration you want me to put out on the channel, please send it in the comment section. Write it in the comment section. I will see it and get back to you. Please keep on watching, and to my returning subscribers, I love you. Take care. See you.